Hello, I hope you all had a great weekend. Today we're going to be doing the first part of our look at UVI's toy suite. The toy suite is split into three different categories of instrument. We've got 8-bit synth, acoustic, and electric. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the 8-bit synth. Later on, we're going to have full production breakdown using just the 8-bit synth. But before that, we're going to have a quick review and go through the pros and cons of what it's like to use the 8-bit synth. That's all coming up. Let's get on with it. I'm really liking this interface. I like the time that UVI have taken to put it together. I love the fact that the volume knob is an old arcade joystick. I love these buttons through the menus, the animated Space Invader dudes. It's all very well done. The attention to detail is great. I really like these two layers. It's fantastic. You can use the edit window to very simply create contrast between these two layers. This kind of customization, it carries through to the ARP as well. I also really like these options down here that we can add in a different type of arpeggio here with a chip. So it's giving you a lot of different options with these four different things. The effects options are going to be very familiar to anyone who's used to using UVI's products. And of course, because it's UVI, because you're in the workstation, immediately you can click in here and you can add additional effects. And of course, you can also add, if you want, you can actually use the auxiliary channels to add additional effects in a different way. Automation in a UVI virtual instrument, when you're working in Cubase at least, does require a little bit of getting used to. You do have to set up the automation. The way you do that is you right click and then you select one of the host automations, and then Cubase will be able to find it. Once you've set up the automation, you can then program it like you would any other virtual instrument or plugin. The 8-bit synth comes with all the kind of quirky character novelty instruments that you'd expect it to. So you get things like this, the Game Boy lead. Oh yeah, memory lane. In addition to those kind of quirky, novelty, kind of fun kind of instruments that are going to bring some really great retro flavor to your productions, you do get some really beautiful sounds. Let's check out this one. This is a pad. This is called Jupiter Clouds. I love how lush that sounds. You also get some incredibly funky, lo-fi, bizarre noises like this. There are also some quiet little gems in here, like we have here. We have some of the bell sound, which is called Dirty 2. There's something really lovely about that. Very nicely put together. And you get these big, lush, sweeping chords. There's something really great about the texture of that. Where I think the 8 synth falls down a touch is I think sometimes the interfaces are slightly simplified. The ARP, for me, it would be helpful if it had a little bit of syncopation option. Now, it's true you can go over to the workstation and use that ARP, so it is there. I mean, so it's not like you don't have it. So I think in keeping the interface really great, kind of retro arcade game interface, I think it will take a little bit of time to get used to doing some of the more, shall we say, kind of complex tools that are here. But the actual tone of them, the way they work, is fantastic. with the toysuite and with this 8-bit synth, I think what UVI have done successfully is that they have managed to create something that is fun and authentic and quirky and has that sense of novelty and that sense of playfulness that you'd expect and you'd want from an 8-bit synth, from a retro arcade virtual instrument. And at the same time, they've also given you an incredible amount of depth and quality and tonality to the instruments themselves, and a huge amount of customization options within the toysuite. Those two things combined is a very unique creative experience. The UVI 8-bit synth is an instrument that you look forward to using. You want to use it. You're excited to use it. You're excited to make music. That was our quick review of the UVI toysuite 8-bit synth. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Coming up next, we've got a full production breakdown. I hope you can stay with us for that. But if you've got to go, good night and good noise. Stay safe and stay healthy. And for those of you that are hanging around for the production breakdown, I'll talk to you in a moment. Hello and welcome back, and thank you for sticking around to watch the production breakdown. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun working with the 8-bit synth. I've done 6 instrument parts, a lot of automation, so I'm really, really excited to share with you all the things I've done in the production. Alrighty, let's start with the bass. We have a bass category to go, so let's have a look. Badass. It is indeed badass. Guitar fuzz. Let's try the 8-bit brass. That might sound pretty cool with an ARP. Let's go for a quick change of plans. I'm going to take this little bit off here. I don't want that. We're going to just play with the chip arpeggio. Minor 9th pattern. It's going to sound a bit like this. Yeah, so we're going to go for, instead of a bass sound, we're going to go for a standard instrument. So let's go for a quick record. Let's see if we can find some drums. Okay, so let's just take off a little bit of that, see what that leaves with. Kind of like that. Let's see if we can have a quick record. All right, now we've got our bass going. Let's have a little bit of look at what we can do with the effects channel. So we've got some reverb and some delay going on here. Let's just take the delay and the reverb off. Let's boost some reverb there. Let's reduce the size. Some less decay. This is without it. This is with it. Just giving that a little bit of exercise. All right, we're back. It is the next morning. Right out of time last night. Had to take the dog out, had to get some sleep, and somewhere in there I watched The Old Guard as well. Check the movie out, it's a good movie. So it's the morning, which means I sound like I've got a cold. That's how I sound every morning. Don't worry about me, it's not COVID-19. I'm just old and run down. Let's see if we can get some bass going on this. So we'll go into the bass on 8-bit, and we're going to have a look at this kick bass. I call that Ode to Morning. So let's have a quick listen to the 2 layers. Turn off chips. Right, I don't want this bit because we've already got a kick kind of going in the beat. So let's just record that really simple pattern. So we've got a simple bass line. Let's see if we can make it a little bit more interesting. Let's flip over to the ARP module, and I'm going to turn on the chip arpeggio. And now we've got a little repeat pattern going. So what I want to do is I want to automate this repeat pattern. First thing we need to do is set up the automation in the workstation. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to here, host automation, click host automation 1. And then that's going to give me the chip ARP pattern 1. Now we've got the auto set. Let's have a go at writing in the automation. Next up, I want to add a delay to the bass. And I want to come and do that here in the effects banks. So we click on effects. Let's go simple delay. Let's go old school. Right, let's crank the mix round to about 50, 60, 70%, something like that, so we can hear what we're doing. I know I don't want any feedback on it. I want to tidy that up. Let's have a little look at this delay time and see if we can dial that in. That's nice. I like that. I just want to use the cutoff a little bit just to thin out some of the delay. And let's dial the mix in bang on 50. Right, I want to add a little bit of auto to the bass line. So I've already set it up. Just going to bring that down to 0%. Turn it out. Side of this guy. And that's going to activate the auto. So the last thing we need to do now is add a little bit of automation to the bass volume. So we're going to go here, right click, set it up, pattern 3. There we go. We got that. Let's draw in the automation. Let's do a little kind of before and after so you guys can hear what all of those things have done. So let's start off with just the raw bass line. Yeah, kind of dull. It's functional, but it's not really doing anything for us. So let's put in the arpeggio and see how that helps it. So now we're getting a little bit of rhythm, a little bit of movement, but it's very repetitive. So we'll put in the automation for the pattern repeats. Now we've got a little bit of variation going on. We've got a little bit of shape there. That's interesting. But that turnaround, it isn't really working for me yet. Let's see what happens when we add the delay in there. Now I'm liking the shape of that. I'm liking that, but we're losing a lot of volume because that delay is coming in at 50% mix. So let's put in the volume automation. Now we've got something going on. So I've queued up a chord effect that sounds a little bit like this. Porta chord. So let's have a quick record. All right, I've opened up the effects panel and I'm going to have a go at adding a little bit of Phasor. I want to play with the feedback and see how we can get it to move around. I like that kind of thickening underneath it. I think that works really nicely. I'm pretty happy with the speed the way it is. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to back the depth right off and just blend it back in. I think our chord could do some reverb, but rather than use the inbuilt reverb here, I'm going to go over to multi and I'm going to open up aux 1 and let's go find ourselves a reverb. So let's go to the impulse response verb. We got some deluxe reverbs. I like the sound of that. Large plate. I love a plate reverb. Right, let's dial in our plate reverb. Let's just kick the width back to 0. So the first thing I want to do is set the pre-delay, I think. Pretty nice roundabout there. So let's take a look at the time. And this is basically the sustain on the reverb. So we want to short that out a little bit because we want to be able to hear that shift and movement of the chords a little bit more. And that's just tidying it up a little bit for us. Next up, let's look at our low and high dampening. We're going to take out some of the lows. Let's bring up that dampening. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to increase the dampening to take some of the lows out. We want to lift that reverb up a bit. And actually, I think we're going to go with sitting it back kind of within, kind of underneath the chords rather than kind of pushing it out too much. Right, last but by no means least, let's have a look at width. And obviously, we want to push a little bit more width in that. Finally, let's blend back in how much auxiliary, how much signal we're actually sending out to the reverb. That's nice, I'm liking that, but I think we can go a step further. I want to add a little bit of automation to this volume send. So let's right click. There we go, there's our send level. And let's have a go at writing it in. That's great, but I think we could step it up a little bit more. I think we can automate the width as well. So let's set that up. Let's write in a little auto. Let's add a little bit of auto to the Phasor depth. Instead of writing it in, let's just do it by hand like this. So all right, let's have another run through so you guys can hear what that's all done. So let's start with just the Porta chords, no reverb, no auto. Let's drop in the auxiliary so we get the reverb going. And you can hear now that we've got that little bit, it's a little bit thicker, it's a little bit wider. Let's add in the send level automation. So now it's like the Porta keys are they're kind of breathing in and out. Let's see about adding in the auto to the width. So now we get that shifting width as well. It's just kind of emphasizing the effect. Finally, let's add in the auto for the Phasor depth. And that's just giving it that kind of shifting texture, that little bit of extra movement. So I've queued up a lead, funky sit, sounds a little bit like this. So let's get some recording done. All right, let's see if we can add a little extra flavor to this funky sit. And we're going to add in an extra bit of modulation. Let's go for some analog chorus, deluxe chorus. Why not? So let's start by backing everything off. The first thing we're going to do, I think, is we'll start with the intensity cranked all the way up, and we're just going to blend in the speed. Next up, let's have a look at the width. We don't want too much width because it's a lead, but we want to give it a little bit more body. Let's have a look at just enhancing those transients a little bit. And then finally, we're going to back off that intensity. And that's just giving us a little bit of shifting texture to the tone. So I've queued up a little bit of FX. We've got Kong Plague. Oh yeah. So let's have a little record, see what we can do. Let's see what we can do to just tidy this up a little bit. We've got two noises going on. We've got cymbals here. So let's move to the edit window. So I like the spread on the cymbal sound. I'm not really convinced about it on the percussive. So let's dial back the spread on the percussive sound. Right, let's see what we can do with color on this a little bit. I like how that percussion is nice and deep in there. That's cool. Let's have a go at maybe going the other way with the cymbals. So we're just creating that little bit of contrast between the two. That's nice. All right, let's have a run through of what we've done, starting with just the 8-bit brass, and then I'll bring in each of the instruments one by one. So we've got a little bit of ARP module going on with this. Then we brought in a beat. Then we dropped the kick in, the kick bass. So we've got more ARP going on, and we're automating the number of repetitions. We're automating a delay in there, and we're also doing a little bit of level in there as well. Next up with the chords. And again, we're doing quite a lot of automation there. We're automating on the reverb, on the width and the amount of reverb, and we're also automating on the Phasor in terms of the depth and the mix of it. Next up is the funky sit. And we use quite a lot of effects on this. We're layering in things like analog chorus and drive and things to kind of soften it out and give it some texture. Oh yeah, the Kong Plague or Plague. So that's just giving us a little bit more percussive energy. And we've got a little bit of variation from one part to another there. And then we use the color and the spread to kind of spread out the cymbal effect and tighten up that percussive effect. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. That was my review and production breakdown of UVI's toysuite, the 8-bit synth. We'll be coming back again to do the acoustic and the electric instruments. But until then, good night and good noise, stay safe and stay healthy.